finally done with the sanding. I think it took probably around 6 hours. The initial sanding coats were the most intense to get it somewhat flat. It's not perfect, but it'll do. I'm going to use a 50-50 poly mix, basically kind of like a wipe-on polyurethane. Now I get to build the legs. I'm just going to use these 4x4 pallet beams and build a simple squarish construction and then attach wheels to it. I went ahead and dry fitted these joins that I just cut out. This is the back leg for the wider side of the slab, and then the front leg for the narrower part. What I'm going to go and do now on both of them is cut these grooves out over there for the cross base beam that's going to come between them. Obviously a much longer one than this one, but you get the idea. My plan to attach these is just with screws. That's kind of the idea, and then I'm going to pre-drill holes that deep. I've pre-marked the wood, found the center, and I've made it 3.5 centimeters from the middle for each screw. And then once that's done, I'll fill the hole with the dowel. Screwed these in halfway just to make the clamping process easier. I'm just going to drill pilot holes to attach the wheels at the bottom. I just put one of these in every single hole and knock it in with a hammer. Those 4 planks that I just cut were these guys. I went and cut dados into them so that I could attach them to the top of the leg and then mount them to the slab. I've made markings here. I'm also going to just do quick dados into these so that they sit nice and flush. And then once that's done, I'm going to cut drill slots into this for movement for the slab. The legs are completely built. I'm going to sand them. I'm going to start off with the angle grinder and a sanding pad and just go over all the roughness, and then I'll go and use the orbital starting at 60 grit. So before using the orbital sander, I decided to dry fit the legs to the bottom of the slab and noticed that I didn't flatten it. So the legs are completely wobbly, this one and the back one. So I'm just going to use this electric hand plane and try and flatten it and hope for the best. I've gone ahead and placed the legs in their places. It's mostly flat, it's not completely flat, but it's good enough. I got these wood inserts that I'm going to put into the wood now. I know extreme care needs to be taken when putting them in, and you need a 9mm drill bit. I only have an 8.5, so I'm just going to wing it and see how it goes, and then obviously the machine screws to attach the legs into these. Okay, so here's the markings that I've made, and here's a clearer picture of these screws. Okay, so I'm just gonna go for it right there. All I got to do is screw these in and the table legs are attached. Got a little dark last night, so I figured I'll just carry on this morning. But this is how it looks so far. I'm going to sand those legs with orbital sander now, starting with 80 grit, going to 120 and then 180. Before I do the last sanding with 180 grit sandpaper, I'm going to attach the beam and trim the ends. Okay, so the table is technically done now. I've sanded the legs all the way down to 180. It's just the bottom of the slab that I've never sanded. After planing it, I kind of avoided the sanding part. It's going to be super tedious, but I'm just going to go over it once with the angle grinder using 36 grit sandpaper, and then I think I can head to varnishing. Finally ready to varnish. It felt like this would never happen. It was so much sanding. I'm going to be using water-based varnish for the bottom. I was going to use the same Nova 17 at the top, at the bottom that I used on the top, but it was going to be an inside table and now it's outside.